My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my spoiler review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I just said it, but this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I saw this movie Thursday night and loved it. And I saw it again last night, and I loved it even more. This movie is just a work of art. It pushes the medium forward in such a revolutionary manner, and there's just nothing else that exists like it. I feel pretty confident saying that this movie is in my top 5 superhero movies of all time. I do think this movie is better than the original, and I just love it. Like, I've already seen it twice, and I can see myself going back to it a few more times, which doesn't happen often. Like, to put in perspective, I saw Avatar 2 5 times. I saw Babylon twice. I saw Doctor Strange 2 twice. I know, hot take. And yeah, like those are the only movies I've seen more than once in the past couple of years. So the fact I've already seen this movie twice and I might go like 2 more times, I really love this movie. And let's begin talking about the opening because I think this movie begins on a very strong note. The animation for Grindelwald is the best animation I've seen. I just love the texture and the colors of everything. It's so bright and vibrant, and I love how the colors are ever changing. It's kind of got like a dripping paint look to it, and it's just so stylistic and so interesting. And I love how when a conversation can be a bit rough, you've got darker colors, but when it lightens up, it the colors, the backgrounds lighten up as well. So it always captures the vibe so incredibly well, and there's just so many neat little tricks. Like how the movie begins with her hitting the drums and you see the sound waves, or when she's on the train thinking of Miles and we see Miles in the window. I love that. Or when she's standing at the door dressed as Spider Woman and the door opens up and then it's Gwen. Just outstanding. And I love the look of the pre Renaissance Vulture and how he stands out in this environment. It's just something entirely new. It is just incredible. And I also love the story being told here as Gren kind of actually, what's the word, like foreshadows some events in this movie. But we also hear more about what happened between her and Peter Parker and how she accidentally killed him and how that turned her dad against her. And then how that really comes together at the end of this opening where her dad's pointing a gun at her. She reveals her identity and he's still going to go ahead and arrest her. And it just has such emotional weight. Like, I truly think it's a heartbreaking way to begin this movie. And it also introduces so many key aspects of this plot. The first one being how it's a cautionary tale for Miles wanting to tell his parents the truth and what could go wrong there. But also has this idea of objective and subjective, which really comes together on the whole idea of characters just trying to do right. In this moment, her dad is trying to do the right thing. He's trying to put his feelings aside and do what he's told is the right thing. And what's great is that's actually Gwen this entire movie. She cares for Miles. She doesn't want to hurt him, but she's trying to do the objectively right thing. But the dad doesn't actually know the truth, and Gwen doesn't actually know the truth either. So I love how their stories are paralleled. I think that's just such smart writing. And I also love how it really comes together in this ending scene when she goes back to her dimension. There was a moment where like her dad asks her, "Where are you going?" And she's like, being all snarky, being like, gonna kill a couple more of my friends. He goes like, oh, okay, funny. And it was like a response for her to make a joke there, but then she didn't actually take into account how it would hurt him, and I love that moment. I also love when she's talking and we see that her dad is willing to change, meaning that Gren can be willing to change and do the right thing. And I think it's just such smart writing. I think it summarizes everything going on in this movie. I think it solves as the emotional foundation really well. And I've heard some people saying that this isn't a complete movie and as a negative. And yeah, they're right, it's a part one. But Gren and her arc still gives this movie its own conclusion, I think. So, loved everything there, and I also love everything with Miles. Spider-Man 2 is my favorite comic book movie of all time, and we see Peter trying to be an adult and balance his responsibilities between school and work and his family and friends while being Spider-Man, and how he keeps failing. And I love how this movie does something similar, but to avoid it feeling redundant, instead of just focusing on him being Spider-Man, it and how that affects his life, it mainly focuses on how it affects his parents' life and how it makes them feel. And how there's the temptation there for Miles to telling them everything. But then we just got told at the start of this movie with Gwen and her dad that it might not be a good idea. So we just got this Miles who's struggling, he's holding his parents by mistake, and I love how you feel the weight of him missing Gwen and Peter. You really get a sense of just how lonely he is, and he's putting his stock completely in them because they understand him. So when later in the movie they kind of... Well, actually, I do want to put a quick pause there. I love how when Gwen tries to stop him from saving the police inspector, and afterwards he asks her, what does she think? And she's like, what I always think. You're amazing. It's such a nice line, but only for him to realize that she was only trying to stop him because... Not because she cared, but because she was trying to let them die. And then also how her and Peter betray him, and now he just feels even more alone. These two people who he missed with every fiber of his being, betrayed him. And when Gwen catches him with his web, and for a second he looks relieved, only to then look at her and then cut the rope, it's just got lots of emotional weight behind it. And I also do love how, well, and because of that, now he feels like he can tell his parents the truth so he doesn't feel alone, but also to help protect them. I do love the reveal that he wasn't meant to be Spider-Man. The spider came from a different dimension, and because he's on the path that he is now, there's another universe that is worse because of him. And I just think that's a very fascinating idea. And if you look at Miles in the first movie and his relationship with Aaron, I feel like him ending up as the Prowl is kinda an arc I could buy for an alternative Miles. And I do also love how when you watch the movie, you always see the number 42 appear time and time again on the spider, but other times as well. And you don't realize how much meaning it has until you watch this movie again and you're like, oh, picking up on it there and there and there. I think that's very smart. I love the fake out when we think that he's telling his mom, and when his mom's just like, who's Spider-Man? I'm just like, oh, really? But then it turns out that he's in the other universe, and I just thought that fake out was masterfully handled. And I love how Gwen talks to his parents because she realizes that the dad might not make it and that she wants to make sure that he knows that Miles still loves him. So that's really great. I love that one scene of Peter Parker and Miles talking and how Peter's like, I had a kid because of you. You helped me be better. And he's being authentic, but also they're tracking him, so then that entire conversation is now tainted in Miles' head. I thought Miguel was a really great villain, kinda. Because the thing is, we don't know if he's white or not. The event in the Indian universe kinda makes it think that he could be white, but then look at the end of Gwen's storyline. Nothing happened. A canon event disrupted, and nothing happened. So is he white or is he wrong? And if he's wrong, does he know that? The characters and his motivations are still up in the air, but I can't wait to see him flesh out more the next movie. I thought Pivotal, the Indian spider voiced by Kieran Sony, had lots of personality and I really liked him. I thought Hobby was hilarious. That one line, it's a metaphor for capitalism, cracked me up real good. I thought Ben Wiley was really funny in the two scenes we see him for, of him just being overly dramatic and all that. That was great. I love how every universe's J. Jonah Jameson is played by J.K. Simmons. I think that's a terrific joke because at the end of Far From Home, we find out J.K. Simmons is Jonah Jameson for that universe, but also the Tobey Maguire universe, and they're like, you know what? Let's just keep it consistent everywhere. That was great. I do like the Lego universe, that little section. I liked the parked car, Peter Parker. I thought the roommate really cracked me up. Hey, there's a villain on the roof. Can you call it in? Nope, it's a slippery slope. Before you know it, it'll be walkie-talkies and synchronized watches. And then I'm not going to be your guy in the chair. I thought that was a really great line. I thought the Spot was a terrific villain. He starts off as kind of goofy and all that. I like the action of them going through all these different portals. It really matches that fast-paced inventiveness of this movie. But I also like how he just doesn't want to be a villain of the week. He wants to prove himself, and he becomes like really powerful. Like when he's just covered in that black spot, you just feel how like at the halfway point they had no chance against him, and now like how are they going to beat this guy? And the villain of the week meta commentary also kind of works with the canon events and how you kind of expect a Spider-Man movie to go. I like how it kind of leans into that as much as possible. I love that one scene when Miles is kind of getting locked up and everyone's just surrounding him and Hobby's just like hands. And then Miles pushes back with his hands and it's just quiet and he just books it. I get chills both times I've seen this movie with that scene. I think the soundtrack is even better than the first movie, which I guess is a hot take, but I'm not a rap guy, but I've listened to this soundtrack on repeat. I love Hummingbird. It kind of reminds me of Labyrinth's soundtrack in Euphoria. Calling is a great song. Am I Dreaming? Annihilate. I like almost the entire album, but those are the standouts. Okay, I'm trying to think of what else I can say. Well, actually, my favorite shot of this entire movie is when Gwen and Peter are talking on the roof, and she just walks to the bottom of that ledge, and the entire world turns upside down. I think it's such a beautiful, unique shot. And anything else for the first 90% of this movie I want to talk about? I think I covered it all. Yeah, I know. Great character arcs. I think it's funny. I think it's ambitious. I think it's got real emotion. I like how it spends time to really develop these characters. Um, and then we get to the ending, which I just complained about Fast X's cliffhanger. I'm not complaining about this cliffhanger. I actually think it's really well done. For a few reasons. First of all, it has weight. Whatever happens to this Miles, we want him to be okay. So, it still has weight because of that. Number two is everything's not going to be resolved within the first 5 minutes. In fact, the way this movie ends makes it feel like, is the next movie just going to be like a non-stop action-packed thrill ride? I mean, like, you've got Miles kidnapped by other Miles, who's going to be a main character in the next movie, make no mistake. Gwen and the team of spider people trying to rescue him. And then once that's done, in Miles' universe, they have to fight off against all this other spider people to try to protect Miles' dad, as the Spot's going to be wreaking havoc in his most powerful form. Like, it is going to be tense and action-packed and thrilling and emotional, and I cannot wait. And that scene of Gwen getting Peter Parker, and then she's on the rooftop, and we see the OG team along with a few new additions from this movie, and the way the music crescends, I get chills just thinking about it. It is such an incredible moment, and it just gets you pumped that when To Be Continued appears on the screen, it's kind of frustrating, but also like, I cannot wait. So yeah, like, I absolutely love this movie. I can't wait for the next. I want to repeat myself. The animation is outstanding. The Grensward and the paint-like look I love, but I also love how the India Spider-Man world looks. Manhattan, I thought that looked really great as well. I love the futuristic of Miguel's universe, and just all these different animation styles existing at the same time, especially Spider-Punk, and just what they were able to accomplish is incredible. I just love this movie. I think it's the best looking movie of all time. It's one of the best comic book movies ever made. I'm just ecstatic right now. So what did you think of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.